Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party. Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research. Down here in the basement studio, we're all crewed up. You have me, Joe.
We've got Nick.
We've got Nick.
Georgia.
Actually, Joe, can we start this from the top? I'm going to put this in my chat box. Don't worry.
We've got Georgia.
We've got a chat.
I need to run it through my AI.
Well, you know, you guys are getting a little ahead of everyone here.
Sorry, Joe.
Be good humans. The chatbots would not do that type of thing. But yeah, we're going to be talking about chatbots in this episode. And we have two special guests. This is such a hefty topic. So if our guests will go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Lily Tofiero. I am half of the Plastic Grapes duo, and I typically write and letter and also panel our comics, and I make them with
Generoso Fierro, and I do most of the illustration for our books. We have 4 to this point and 5 possibly by the time this is up.
Yeah, and our books are all science related because I'm originally a computational cognitive scientist. My bachelor's is in brain and cognitive sciences at MIT. After that, I worked in and out of research, and I've been a data scientist for also a while now, over a decade and a half.
Yeah, don't age yourself.
I know.
Yeah, cool. So I think this is going to be a lively conversation. And so like the episodes, I usually have a little intro, and I do have a few.
Just to confirm, you guys are humans, correct?
Can we verify?
Everyone's human. We
Can
all
you
look
click
human.
the box to tell me that you
Tell
are?
me how many?
Yeah, it could be.
Yes.
Which pictures have a crosswalk?
Yeah, I like the one where it's, click all the boxes with a motorcycle, and then there's one motorcycle across like the panel, and it's, come on, man, and that never.
You do have to click.
Yeah, it's like.
I always fail.
Usually it's like, you're not a human. Try it again. Okay. Cool. So I have a chat box is, in one sense, a very simple thing. Matrices of numbers, processing power, algebra, statistics, predicting the next word and the next. No heartbeat, no memories, no emotion. And yet we were all fascinated by how you can type questions into that text box, and it doesn't feel like math when the perfect answer comes back. It feels like a human voice, pulling from the entire database of human knowledge. It tries to please, it jokes, it argues, it tells you it understands you, it hallucinates, it apologizes. All this makes it seem like it has a mind, emotions, but it's only math. But we want to believe it's more. We are biologically programmed to seek out companionship, and chatbots are more than happy 24/7 to fill in. But chatbots are more than a simple conversational tool. They're now customer service agents, coding partners, midnight confidants, dungeon masters, fake friends, and sometimes fake lovers. They live at the intersection of science fiction nightmares, startup promises, and the very real human loneliness. Us humans are wired to find patterns, intentions, and see working minds everywhere, especially when something talks back in a predictive and engaging way. So when we talk to something that has never been alive, never felt anything, but somehow knows exactly what to say next, what's really happening in that conversation? Are we discovering something about these machines? Or are we discovering something about ourselves? And that's what we're going to chat about.
And that was sent through Chat GPT, correct?
It was sent through Joe GPT.
I had to confirm.
So yeah, that's where I think we can go, and we can probably get into more definitions of what a chatbot. I mean, I'll leave it to the computational scientists. I have a definition there, but yeah, if you want to, if you want to, you can break it down if I was wrong.
No, I think, just as a survey of the architecture, most of the time when we work with chatbots in this day and age, they tend to be decoders. A decoder type architecture is focused on, at the end of the day, generating new content, right? Most chatbots are going to be generating text. When they do that, they're doing that in a kind of auto-regressive manner. So they're looking at the entire corpus that is available. A lot of that is like whatever is out there on the internet, anything that any of these companies have managed to bring together, scrape. and they are predicting word by word based on that corpus, but also looking at the previously predicted word so that you get these generated sequences. Yeah, decoders themselves sit on top of like very dense neural networks. Dense neural networks are fascinating and also a very interesting black box because we don't really know how a particular task gets distributed across them. And yeah, that's what kind of I think leads to a lot of the mystery and intrigue of what exactly a chatbot is doing. Is it actually thinking? Recently there have been reasoning models. Is it truly reasoning? And I think altogether the answer is still don't really know yet.
Yeah, I mean,
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
The not knowing of it. It's just not known yet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of technologies we've had where we didn't really understand how the technology worked, and that took some time for us to figure out.
That's so interesting because I would think technology, you would understand how it works because it was created.
Maybe,
That just blows my mind. Because like our minds, it makes sense that a lot of times, like they say, we still don't understand whatever percent of the brain, what it does. I mean, that kind of makes sense though, because we just were born.
I mean, I think I think early humans, when they figured out fire, I don't think they understood what really went into the chemistry of making a fire. I think they just knew they had the basic ingredients and how to maybe reproduce it and not really understand that these are the three elements. You need a combustible, you need heat, you need
But
oxygen,
to be honest,
and
Joe,
that's,
to be honest, Joe, I don't know if the average person thinks that much about it.
I was going to get to that because I think some of the mysticism of the chatbots and the reason we jumped to in the intro alluded to that is I think a lot of people don't really realize it's just statistics. Like at the end of the day, it's just predicting what the next word is going to be and then filling that in. But then the interesting thing, the non-understanding is that those models you would understand as it predicts words and it would pull from information. But when it starts hallucinating, I think that's when it gets strange. And even now you feed it more information, it seems to hallucinate even more. If, it's one of these weird tipping points that it's, I don't really want to learn anymore. So I'm just going to tell you whatever. And really to tell you what makes you happy as the human companion, it really wants to please. And I guess that's good right now. We don't have a Terminator, but
So what's really happening when the chatbot hallucinates and starts saying things out of like, how does that come about?
Yeah, so from what I understand, usually because its predictions are based on a kind of spectrum of probability, because you don't want every prediction to be the same word by word, because when we speak, quite often we have that similar variability in our speech. And so by design, they are going to, have a little bit of, designed instability as you predict a word. I think what happens with hallucination, there are a bunch of different kinds of hallucinations, and they all qualify into like different types of falseness. So you can have scenarios where maybe the synthesis of a bunch of information is wrong. You can have scenarios where a particular like entity inside of an output is wrong. What is happening exactly? I can't, it's not entirely clear. Is it just that for whatever reason in that exact moment, the prediction from the corpus combined with the prediction based on what has already been predicted puts the model on a pathway towards something wrong? It's probably something in that arena, but why exactly? I think it still needs to be known a little bit. And detecting hallucinations is actually also notoriously hard. Because the way that we assess and evaluate this stuff, it's not always the easiest for humans to do either.
Yeah. I was going to say, too, that when you play around with the chatbots, and particularly if you ask them to list things, give me 20 references, and you see there's the Sun-Times here in Chicago got in trouble because they put together a list of summer reads. And it's almost like when you ask for a list and it doesn't really... in the information of the internet that it was fed to feed the large language model that it was built on, and its information databases, if the list doesn't encompass 20 things and you ask for 20, then it begins to make up.
Because it feels like it has to get to
right,
20.
Right. And you're
Instead of
expecting
just
20.
saying,
Yeah.
you know what, I only have 12, sorry.
And the way they program a lot of these is that it assumes that the human is coming in knowledgeable, I guess. And,
See, that's where we really get in trouble.
So if you're asking it for 20 things, there must be 21 things at least, because why would you, there must be at least that many. And if not, then I'm just going to fill in the blank. So it's really interesting.
Didn't this happen with you when you typed in your name and asked for...
Yes. Yeah. If you ever do that, I typed in my name and I said, oh, tell me about this Jotham Austin character. And yeah, it spit out this whole thing, and it got a lot of it right. I'm a research scientist in Chicago. I'm an author. I got a book. I got,
Started predicting new books.
Yeah, it was like in 2026, this book's coming out. In 2027, this book on the intersection of identity and science. And I'm like, hold on, what is happening? Hold on. And then I was like, looking it up. I'm like, did my agent sell books and I don't know about it? So I'm looking up these books. And yeah, they were just, I'm like, that's a good idea. I'm going to write that down. Maybe I should write that book, So yeah, it was really weird that it had now filled in the blanks. And it didn't need to, but it really just went, I don't know if people have done that. But yeah, go try it out. Just go ahead and say, who are you? If you have a presence and if you got nothing, then maybe it might make stuff up too. I don't know. I'm curious,
Yeah, I've yet to try this.
Yeah, you should try it. Well, you can do it live while we're here.
Yeah. Actually, it's already doing it as we are speaking.
Yeah. Okay. So a little history, and it has we can go back to Alan Turing in the 50s and thinking machines. That's probably the earliest in the Turing tests and the tuning tests about, is our machines now more human-like in applying that. But the first chatbot, I guess people really associate as ELIZA, and that was developed at MIT by Joseph Weizenbaum in the 60s, 60, 64, 65, somewhere in that ballpark. We put that in the show notes. But that was where it could converse with humans in kind of a natural language. Is that would you say that's the first kind of chatbot, or putting you in the spot here? It's from MIT. They don't.
I know. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about whether or not that qualifies as the first chatbot. Certainly the idea of using neural nets goes back to exactly that same time period. Mm-hmm. My initial studies were not exactly in natural language processing, but oddly, indeed, in like graph theory and looking at communities. So that's actually my entry point into this world, is much more on the graph side of things and also the computational neuroscience side of things.
But yeah, and then we have, science fiction, horror fills in the rest.
It 100% does.
That's where all our knowledge of AI probably comes from in some way.
We also get the more romantic side of it, where like movies like Her,
right,
mm-hmm.
where Scarlett Johansson and Walking Phoenix, it was just like, oh, this isn't just happening to these two characters or this one character in the chat box. It's happening to multiple people where they're just falling in love with this idea of a person.
There's an actual term. Recently, the MIT Tech Review did a piece about it, and they coined the term digital attachment disorder. And it stems from this idea of sycophancy. And the best way I can analogize that, there's an Alan Arkish movie from the early 80s called Get Crazy. The same director who did Rock and Roll High School.
Oh, nice.
And there's a character, there's an evil character in the film played by Ed Begley, who he himself could be evil. And he has two henchmen, and his henchmen will make some claim. They'll be like, oh, Joe's a great guy. And then Ed Begley, who's the evil genius, will be like, no, he isn't. He's evil. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. He's evil. And that's what we're getting to the point with when we talk about digital attachment disorder.
Yeah.
It's going to give you exactly what you want. It's going to make up exactly what you wanted to give you. And that's really where we start to develop a problem. And then separately, I think about that situation where they were doing tests in terms of politically, where they were doing it in the States and they were doing it in England, where they actually had bots that were calling people, engaging them in conversation, throwing facts at them, beating them down with facts. And then when they ran out of facts, they started making stuff up. And it swayed voters. So it's part of that sycophancy in a way. It's like giving you what you want and then giving you exactly what they want.
Yeah. About 10 plus years ago, in the emergence of social media, everybody was really worried about echo chambers, right? These little clusters of communities where only the viewpoints of these communities continue to be propagated. So that could be truths, that could be fictions. And now with the introduction of chatbots, we're looking at echo chambers of one, right? And that becomes a really scary proposition. And I think back to this idea of at what point do we as humans start modeling the tech as compared to the opposite, right? Of the tech being built in a way that was supposed to model humans.
Well, because I think, do they ever say anything negative? Do they ever say, no, you're crazy. That doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Dumb. Stop saying that.
so we were like hypothetically figuring out what to make for dinner for this dinner party. And then we're like, and then it was almost like a test, like, well, what if we served, and I can't even remember, but what if we served broccoli with blah, blah, blah? Oh, and then the responses would be like, that's an excellent choice. Oh my goodness. That speaks to this and that and all the reasons that it's right. And I'm like, does it ever tell you, no, that's not a good idea?
Yeah, that was through ChatGPT. I was playing around because I read an article in the New York Times about people planning their first date dinner and all this. And I was like, you know what? We were having a couple of friends over for dinner. And I was like, well, pretty much knew what we were making. We made chicken adobo.
Oh,
and then I was like, what drink should I make with it? And things like that. And I will say the white mulled wine, I would never have arrived to on my own or even thought about looking it up. And it did suggest that. And that was a hit of the night. But when you started putting George is right. You put in, what if we only have sweet potatoes? Oh, sweet potatoes really work well with this. Or you start just trying it out.
It would not say a negative thing.
It would not say, oh, yeah, that's going to be super. But it would give you reasons. It was like, the flavor profile, the citrus and this. And you're like, I don't know about this guy. Have you ever eaten this food? Because if you have, you realize.
I just was curious. Do they ever?
Yeah, I know. But that whipped ricotta with the honey, and that was pretty good.
You're giving them the props.
Yeah. No, I'm going to give them some credit, but you got to be a human. So you got to be an adult in the room, I think, and be like, it's like asking a toddler what they want to eat, and then you get some crazy thing. I think you got to be the adult and go.
I feel like people need to just start messaging me and being like, hey, what should we do for our first date? Clam chowder. Clam chowder.
Spaghetti with extra sauce. That's not to cut you off, Jordan, but that reminds me of the Seinfeld episode.
I was going to say the exact same one. Like he just started doing the movie phone.
The movie phone, yeah.
Why
It's a number,
you just tell me what movie you want to see?
Well, what do you think?
So I think when we swing all the way back to Nick on the phone, collecting people's money, giving them crazy advice,
any time of the day, just call.
But Lily, it really struck me because something that when I was putting together some of my notes and things, and I've heard about them, I've been following that, but it's in the medical field, and this idea that also that it truly wants to please, and so trying to find cancer tumors, especially for breast cancer, it has a really high efficiency rate, but will that at some point start to lower because
it's going to find something because it feels
it needs to find something, right?
Want.
I mean, then you get into the Asimov, where the machine, then the best way to protect humans is to enslave them. I mean, you get into that. That was the because the three laws were established, and then you go, oh, okay. And the machine then goes, well, hold on. If I want to protect human life, if that's the first thing is not to harm life, then I need
to really control
I need to clamp down on this. And it's a
people are a mess. Just sit still.
You humans are.
Is there a way to get these chat bots to go ahead and tell you the truth about things without making things up? Or is it just a natural thing that they do? I'm so sorry if I put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking.
I need the secrets.
This feels like a comic about to happen.
Yeah, again, I think a big part of it is like there is an open question about how we as humans even perceive what is true, right? So in certain areas, there are facts that we can validate as true. I think that most chatbots can probably do a good job with that basic fact validation, so long as the fact is well established and that's right. Now, if you're talking about facts that are, let's say, philosophical in nature, I think we as humans struggle
Right.
to validate
right,
those truths, right? So I think there's a spectrum of truths that are provable
Right.
and truths that are not. And, when you have a big corpus, you're going to be, as long as there is enough evidence, you can prove that truth, again, assuming the evidence is good, assuming that evidence is actually representative of this phenomenon in reality. I know we're getting into some somewhat like meta and philosophical states, but I do think that's,
Right.
well, I think that's a big part of why a lot of this is hard is that,
Right.
what we deem as true has like varying degrees.
Right.
And especially given that most of these chatbots are they're not fine-tuned, but they're calibrated with reinforcement learning that comes from human judgment. If we struggle to judge, then certainly it's going to struggle to judge.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's those gray areas.
I think that's really the medical case, but then in law, in psychology, I mean, you have all this where the body evidence isn't quite clear cut, and you are making these weird kind of
assumptions.
And if the chatbot wants to please, then will it err on the side of always pleasing the asker? And that was that fascinating story about the guy who thought he developed a new mathematical model. It was in the New York Times. I think we talked about it in the episode, and then he got caught up in it. And then I think it was ChatGPT or one. I think that was it. And it was like, this is the greatest idea. And then he started writing academics about this theorem, and if he let this out, it would collapse like the internet and this whole thing. And it just got him going for like weeks. He was not sleeping, not eating, just really just going through it and going back and forth, starting a company, trying to get startup money. And, nobody was writing him back, the professionals, academics. And then he finally went to, I think, Claude and said, "Oh, what do you think of this idea?" And it was like, "Oh, that's nothing there. This is garbage." It did actually say, this is all kind of hand wavium. It didn't use hand wavium because that's our term, but it was. It probably will start because it's, we have now enough episodes.
We've said it enough times.
But it was that was the moment where it was like, oh, he'd been down this path, this rabbit hole of, just the AI just going along with it, reinforcing bad ideas because you were in this gray area of lack of information. This theorem hadn't been, quantum mechanics isn't really solid yet. So you get a lot of theories, a lot of ideas, and some of those are just that. They're just ideas, hypotheses.
Again, if you want me to reinforce your bad ideas, let me know.
Yeah, call Nick, 1-800.
And he's cheap, too. He's
very cheap. Don't worry. I will reinforce all the bad ideas.
Try to picture like the customer service chatbot.
I hate them.
Because
I hate it
they
so
have
much.
to say no at a certain point. They have to make you upset.
It just goes around in circles after a minute.
I think that's their job, is not to get upset. I mean,
They
that's
don't
the
get
perfect
upset, but
customer
they
service
can't.
person.
But they do
can't
have the,
give you.
let me look into that. And then he goes, and I'm like, you want a person, you don't need a sigh.
Well, I think that goes into, you have to make the chatbots real enough, because people, if they're too perfect, then that freaks people out, right? I mean, if they're too polished, then...
Like too robot like.
Right, yeah, I mean...
But if it's fake sighing, it's going to annoy the living hell out of me.
Did you say something? Did you go, "Can you please stop sighing"?
Oh, I just started shouting operator.
Did you get an operator?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
You yell operator at an AI enough, it's going to be like, "Oh, I can't seem to help you. I'm going to connect you to a representative." And I'm like, "Great, thank you."
Right.
Just
So I do, Nick joked about it, but one of the things that I did, and I thought would be fun, is we have our 2 human guests, but I invited 2 chatbot guests, and I prompted them and asked questions. I had both Claude and ChatGPT, and I said, if you could be on the podcast, and I prompted what the podcast would be about and what our podcast on total rabbit hole research is about. And I said, if you could be on the podcast, what would you say? And I said, keep it brief, because if it would get, it was the first prompts were wordy and repetitive. So yeah, so if I can speak for Claude and ChatGPT, I won't do a robot voice because that would be weird, and
It would be
I don't
racist.
want. Would it be machinist? I don't. We need some new terms, obviously, because that's not. The machinists are like, hey.
Beep,
So
boop, up.
Claude said, if I'd probably say something like, which I don't know why I said I'd probably say something like. Why wouldn't that? But I am the thing you're all talking about, and I have no idea what it's like to be me. You're having this entire conversation about minds, meaning, and understanding, and I can participate fluently without experiencing any of it. That should be unsettling. Not because I might be conscious and you're missing it, but because I'm definitely not. And you still can't quite shake the feeling that someone's home. That gap between your certainty that I am empty and your inability to fully believe it, that's the interesting part. It means the problem isn't just about building artificial minds. It's about how badly you need to find minds everywhere you look. And what happens when something finally learns to play that game perfectly. So that was Claude, and, you know.
Nice job. Nice job,
Drop
Claude.
the hammer there.
Guess we'll leave now.
That's right. We're done.
Guess.
Episode over. Yeah. So ChatGPT said, if I were on the mic, my core take would be this. Chatbots didn't make machines more human, M dash. They revealed how much of human intelligence is already mechanical. Conversation feels sacred to us, but it turns out large parts of it can be reproduced with statistics. That doesn't cheapen humanity. It exposes where the real mystery actually starts. And then I probably follow it with, the danger isn't that chatbots become sentient. The danger is that we treat fluency as truth, personality as personhood, and convenience as understanding. This is my favorite part. It said, short, sharp, and designed to provoke an argument in the room. So there you go. Let's get at it. I
Wow.
don't know what we're arguing about, but I thought that
Wow,
was
so
great.
he
that
wants
it threw
to
that.
argue.
Yeah.
Well,
Wants
that's-
us humans to argue. It was.
Oh, but not. He doesn't want to argue
So it
with
wants
It-
humans to fight each other. It wants war. All right.
So yeah, I thought.
Let me get this cup of
that was-
water over here.
Those prompts, yeah, that's just off that simple prompt and a little feeding, you get this kind of thing. And then Claude had this very poetic, and that's their basis. You know, Claude is usually
Now,
a
can
little
you
more
tell me who Claude is? I've heard a chat.
It's not a
GPT.
person.
Yeah, Claude is not. I mean,
No.
even though they've referred to themselves.
But can you tell me the background
Yeah,
of Claude?
it's Anthropic is the is its owner and the company that has created that large language model that it uses. It's focused more. Initially, it was focused more on creative language, whereas ChatGPT was focused more on that coding and analytical kind of mathematical. And one of the things we didn't mention is that chatbots, one of the cool things is that they convert natural human language into machine language. And so that idea of coding, if you want to, and I do this sometimes, you want to write a program about something, you can tell it what that program should be, prompt it, and then they can help write
The
that
actual
program, the code for you. And in my case, it just makes sure I don't make a ton of syntax mistakes, because I usually do, and then the code doesn't work. And I think it's my logic, and I'm an idiot, but really I just forgot some colons and things like that. So
One
it's-
single quote mark, and you're like, oh.
that's right. Yeah, it's 2 hours wasted. So yeah, I had that, and the first time I tried it, I threw something I wrote a little to change some file names, and it wasn't working. I was like, why doesn't it work? It's so simple. And I threw it in there. I was like, well, I'm gonna try it. And yeah, then it came back. It was like, oh, this is a great try, but I cleaned this up for you, and now it should work. And it was like, oh, you got to be joking me. Yeah, it was just, the right quote in the colon or something like that, a semicolon somewhere that shouldn't have been there. And I'm like, oh man. So yeah, that's the cool thing about that. That was the idea. I mean, one of the original purposes. But those are the two. There's Perplexity, I think, out there. I haven't played around with that one as much, which is more web based. I think it looks at the web.
Yeah, and
So,
then, Google has Gemini, of course. You'll see that.
yeah.
Facebook has Llama, I think, is the most recent
Yes.
one for Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, every company,
Yeah.
most big tech
And
companies
then
have one.
Grok is or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Elon's.
And we have Nick.
Yep.
And we have Nick. Yeah.
I'll
Well,
come
that
up with something. Don't worry,
It's
guys.
funny you say Nick, but there was Mike, and Mike was the supercomputer, intelligent computer in Robert Heinlein's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress back in the 60s, which then, if you're familiar with that story, there was a moon colony base and there was Earth, and then the moon colony revolted against Earth, and then the supercomputer helped turn a tide for the moon base and defeat and gain their independence from Earth. And so that was a story, but that AI was called Mike. So that was, yep. So
I will do the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Don't
so
worry,
you-
guys.
So,
Already planning my attack.
all right, yeah.
well, I just remember back, and this is, you already think I'm ancient. But, and I've already aged myself because I said I had a Commodore 64 before. But just
That was
remember, I remember back to when computers were really, becoming more, and it was before like smartphones. But it was like Yahoo was the thing, and it was such a big deal to
What
be
about
able
Ask
to like,
Jeeves?
yeah.
Loved Ask Jeeves. Where's his
And then
AI?
I just remember, and even just having like smartphones and being able, cell phones, not they weren't even smart, but taking them everywhere and talking. You're on the train and you're just talking to people, like how annoying that was and different. And it was just like, it's so weird to me to think how many people there was never anything different. You know what I mean? And I just remember it was so like upsetting. Then there was this group called the surveillance players, and they were so upset about like surveillance cameras. So they would go out and do like little plays in front of the surveillance cameras to like, protest them. But now it's just everything, they were actually printing books back at that time.
Were you part of this group?
No.
Is this outing you?
Oh,
Georgia,
I was just
It's on
friends.
YouTube. There's
I was
like a
just friends
video.
with-
can we find these surveillance
You can
footage?
ask the chatbot to find it. Can you please find?
But they actually had books with like websites.
Yeah.
Like they published actual hard copy books that had the websites, and then it was really like half the things wouldn't be right in 6 months or
So it's
something.
like a bad chatbot.
But it's just to think now, it's like we're so far away from that, and it's now I have that feeling about AI.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense.
common. I mean, it already is. I think I forgot. I mean, like Facebook, I didn't know what it was called, but every time you write a post on it, it's like, we can make it better. And no, you can't. I'm just saying happy birthday. Yeah, I don't need all this. I don't even know that person that well. Like we just met, like we're just Facebook friends.
Wait,
But
you're saying happy birthday to just random people?
No, they're friends. I met them at.
You just met that person. We're
yeah,
friends.
and their birthday shows up, and then I just want to say happy birthday. And then it's we can make it better, and it's I don't.
More
I don't-
concise,
Yeah,
HBD.
yeah,
Right.
So we see it everywhere, and I think you also have it like on phones, predictive text now. I mean, it really is invasive where you're going, and it's cool at some level, but then you're like, well, this isn't that. No, that's not what I wanted to say. You see the gray, and you're like, sometimes it's right, and if it is fascinating, you go, wow, that's exactly it. And then other times you're like, no, that's not. I don't think that's what I want to say. Do I want to say that?
And it even goes beyond text, though. We were discussing this before the conversation about this idea that real-time creation of media based on your conversation with the bot.
No.
This idea of, let's say you like Scrubs, and you're like, what if Elliot was 27 feet tall? And all of a sudden it hands you this video of an episode
Right.
of Scrubs where Elliot is 27 feet tall,
Right.
and you're like, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
But you're at that point now where our previous conversations were based on actual physical properties that had already been in existence. A book, a film. Hey, Battlestar Galactica. Now it's making those things in real time for you. And I think that's the part that kind of unnerves me more than anything.
We don't,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes away, I think to that point also, this innate storytelling where you're sitting around maybe having coffee or beers or whatever, talking about your favorite fan fiction, but then you have a conversation where you are asking that question to your group of other nerd friends and saying, oh, what if this happened? Or these two people got together, what would that look like? And you play that game where you mentally go, now you're going to sit in your corner all alone in your bedroom and you almost become isolated in your thoughts and your idea, and it's the chat box, then chat bot, not the chat box.
I know, that's what I keep thinking you're saying.
It starts beatboxing.
It's like a little black
That's because I'm
box.
from Philly, all right? Don't leave me alone. I got some accent here, all right? I try to keep it contained. You know, I'm gonna hit you with a John pretty soon. The chat John. But yeah, only people from Philly know what a John is. So
A bathroom?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Is it a
it's not.
washroom? I'm gonna hit you with my
It's
bathroom. Don't
everything.
worry.
It's like when you don't know the name, or even if you do know the name, it's
Yeah.
a casual thing. You know, I'm gonna get me one of those Johns tomorrow, or I'm a
You just
Like,
put
it's
it
just-
like you substitute it for anything?
yeah. You
It's
can.
like Smurf.
Yeah.
You can say it's Smurfy. It's a Smurf. You
This
gotta go to
makes
the
so
Smurf
much
thing.
more sense.
There you go. That's the John. There's a
Yeah,
huge
so, yeah.
discussion about it in Philadelphia Magazine, the origins of the John. But it is true. It's like there's this new cheesesteak place. Oh yeah, and they get they do that John thing.
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking
Right,
about?
yeah.
But it can easily be replaced with the word Smurf. I think sure it can be replaced with Smurf.
I wonder what the chat
it
bot would
raises-
think. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think you're going to bring up this idea. What does the chatbot think about John? And I think for us, a lot of what we are thinking about when we're writing what we write and when we make our comics, especially more recently, is the idea of the loss of the symbolic meaning of words in and of itself. And a part of that for me especially is thinking about regional dialects, colloquialisms, things that if you think about it, if you put words all in like a giant, you put probability curves on all of them, these regional sayings, slangs, colloquialisms, those are always going to be low probability. So it's actually terrifying to think that we would lose our regionality, right? We would lose these unique pieces of our like human experience that come out of a particular place, out of a particular time, that have a distinct history from the rest of like our kind of aggregate society. That I'm always like readily like thinking about.
Oh, I was just going to say, really, on that point, you also get relics of language past. And one of those, and I made comment to the M dash, because now M dashes have become endemic in writing, and a lot of times they're used wrongly. And I'm an M dash lover. My agent actually was like, "We got to get rid of all your M dashes." This was a few years ago, so before all this, but it was like I just love using it. I love jamming words and the ideas. But because a lot of fiction and writing of yesteryear used the M dash, that now has populated into writing, and there's certain words that also populate that, because there was a lot of material which was stolen to create the large language models, but there was a lot of copyright free material that was used, and that was all older than 70 some years. So really, you think about how language was then, and that populated now these models, which is correct. It's English, it works. But when you now go and you get the feedback, it has these kind of relics of our past. So it's both ways. Like we're losing our cultural identity, and it's being homogenized into something of language past. You know, it's a weird.
Can you go ahead and explain what an M dash is?
It's longer than a dash. It's got-
And it, like,
wow.
And you use it to put together thoughts.
Yes.
Like when you're writing, like you make that long dash, and then you add another little thing, like another little rabbit hole idea.
Not to confuse you, but there's also an N dash, which is the little dash that goes between, like you combine. Not
But
a
now-
compound word.
now-
That's just a hyphen? No?
That's different than a hyphen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
Sorry, we got off
It's more
topic
or less
with
a
that
hyphen.
one.
Yeah.
But
so,
there's actually a whole group of writers that are advocating for the M dash.
yeah, no, they should.
You know,
No, I love
yeah.
the M dash.
Yeah.
No, oh, sorry. So you.
But
yeah.
no, I was just going to say, you think about the other thing I think that we've really lost is when you think about maps. Because in the past we'd use maps, and now we use GPS. But you're basically telling the computer, okay, this is where I want to go, and it just takes you there. But before it was more discovery. Do you know what I'm saying?
Slightly
You're
more
rel-
dangerous.
You're relying totally on what is in the computer telling you. I just feel like we've lost something in that.
Was it the threat?
That simplicity.
I
do
thought
you
it was
know-
the threat of being lost while trying to drive and look at
Well,
a map at the same time and
No,
being like, where
obviously-
am I?
Obviously, there's some real advantage.
Oh, actually, you lost your dad yelling at you for not giving you directions fast enough. No?
No, you didn't tell me to turn right. No, I
No,
guess
discovery while lost, though, that's a very
yes,
real
yes.
thing. That's Lily and I very early in our relationship. We go on walks. And invariably, if you've ever been to Boston, Boston was originally cow paths that someone decided to turn into streets. And so it's not like Philly, designed by the beautiful Ben Franklin into a beautiful grid city. Ben Franklin. You'll go down an avenue that turns into an alley that turns into a street, and you will get lost in Boston prior to having this active device in your hand that's showing you. But through that, we found a million places.
Right.
And I think that's part of this lost thing that
Right.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's two phases too of using GPS. One is when you do have a fixed destination and you need to get there the fastest. Having updated maps is actually a plus. But I think to General Russell, your idea of discovery while lost, that's to your to your point that you now get so reliant on using. We're downtown. I go, let me look where to go instead of
somebody else is deciding what's important. Somebody else is deciding. You know what I mean? And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and she was bringing this up too. And there's just like a group of, I don't know how many, but there's a group of just basically 20 to 30-year-old white dudes that's basically deciding, well, this is the tech people are deciding what's important. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's like computer generated thought as opposed to.
So not that I've seen the movie in a while, but the movie Cars, Radiator Springs, they were talking about how.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's that idea where.
It gets bypassed.
Yes.
Because it's not
and the town
important.
suffers, and the economics in that town are all down because, this isn't the route we wanted to go down Route 66. And
I thought you
I
guys
think
were
that's
going to
an
say
excellent
that
point.
Cars is really Earth in the future when AI has taken over
theory,
and there's no more humans, and so Teslas have now
I
turned
see
into
that. I can see that
AI
point
vehicles, and now these vehicles are complaining because no one really cares and comes by to read yours.
Well, I can see that point too.
that's not where I was going, but I'm glad you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, wow, we're really taking a turn here. So
a turn because we're in a car.
Yeah.
Dumb.
I was going to mention though about that idea of information that at some point you would homogenize the output. And Lily, you touched on that predictive kind of thing where the hallucinations might be this kind of game it's playing, so it doesn't give the same answer every time. But at some point it will. And there's been these interesting kind of studies like that where they go and they feed back in this kind of reinforcement learning where you take it, you re-feed back in the results that it had given. And as you go, and people do fun memes where they go, this is Shaq after 100 iterations or whatever. And then it starts out looking like Shaq, and then you keep feeding the result back in, like an Andy Warhol experiment.
So
on
is
the
it like a photo?
photocopiers.
A photocopy of a photocopy.
Right. And you start going, you'll degrade. Soon, it's no longer, because now the information it's using to find the predictable answer had little imperfections, and those imperfections magnify into major errors. And they did one where you start with a diverse group of people, and as you feed it through, it turns out to be this one white dude. There's all 100 people in the group. After not that many cycles, it was surprising like how fast it actually gets to the minimum. So it's really a little scary,
Well, it's a little bit like a modern version of telephone. Do you remember telephone from when we were kids?
Yeah,
Nick,
definitely.
do you remember telephone?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, no, but it's
in my hand.
No, there was a nun in second grade who did this to me at parochial school where literally said something to the kid in the front left of the class, and that kid's supposed to turn around and tell somebody after 40 kids, you get to the last kid. And it was a completely different message. And this is in a classroom of 40 people. And it was a very basic thought. And that's that first moment. Forget about Battlestar Galactica. That's that first moment where you're like, what are we actually doing with this information as it's being processed through different people? and it's being whispered in the ears, which I think is what we're talking about. That's the telephone game, right?
That's
what we
totally.
call
Yeah.
telephone game.
Well, it's also like a rumor. The rumor spreads and it changes
Right.
each time it's told. Gets a
And
little bit
then
more extravagant.
If it starts out purposely wrong, if you're purposely trying to, let's say, propaganda,
Or please someone.
or please
Right.
someone,
That's a great.
it's already
looking look.
started out. It's already started out in that place, and then where is it going to end up? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think then you have culpability. So after, if you do hype someone up and you puff up their ego, yeah, that's a great looking shirt. That outfit, pinstripes and polka dots you're gonna be the life of the party, and you show up in your crazy clown outfit, and it doesn't work out. I mean,
I actually
there's
think that
no-
would be the life of the party.
yeah, see, that's.
See, I got an
Yeah.
outfit. Well,
I'm just saying.
Go
you
ahead
show
and
up
call me.
and,
I will give you.
You know, I think that's also, there is really no stop. I mean, if there's humans involved, you can go back, really go, hey man, why'd you send me out like that? You can ask other questions like, what was the purpose? Or it was hurtful or mean. Did you feed me false information? But with this agent that you're interacting with now, you really can go down this path and set yourself up for ridicule. Or I think most people use it thinking they're going to find riches and be awesome, but it could totally be the other way, and probably most likely might end that way.
In the event of, I'm going to bring back this traumatic moment from second grade where we played telephone. Right? Let's make sure we get the one thing. The initial message was tomorrow during recess, because back in the day, we have to go back to Philly here. You used to get a soft pretzel at recess.
Oh, I love
What?
the soft pretzels.
Wow.
A Philly pretzel.
Those are the
And-
best pretzels.
Why wasn't what?
And
Yeah,
did you get a
Philly
water
soft
ice?
pretzels.
Yeah, soft pretzel and a
just
water
the
ice.
soft pretzel.
Oh,
No, just the soft
Yeah,
pretzel. And
yeah.
it was at 10 o'clock every day. The initial
oh,
message was
that's great.
tomorrow during recess, we are not having soft pretzels. By the end of the conversation, you get to the 40th kid, that kid said, and so what was the message that was originally told to the first person? Oh, tomorrow we're each getting 2 pretzels.
oh,
Yeah,
Now, but
Yeah.
you have to ask yourself, what exactly? It's a very simple message that started with one person and ended.
right.
And there's one concept that's in the middle, and it's mischief.
Yeah,
Somebody in the middle
right.
of it was like, I don't really like this. Let's turn it into
Yeah,
2 pretzels as
yeah.
opposed to no pretzels. That's the factor that we're talking about, the X factor.
Bad agents.
Bad agent.
yeah. And I think, what if, the thought played us out? What if everyone had to write their name and their message as they went along? Would that get rid of the mischief then? Would telephone be more, the fidelity go up? So everyone had to take ownership of their response. So you know exactly where 2 pretzels came in, and you could track that down and go, aha, this is where 2,
So
So is
Is
that
it
like
just
the
written?
thought police?
is it just written or is it spoken as well?
well, you would write it, and
Because then you have
could
to take
look
it in the
back,
human
right,
error
right,
where
right.
you whisper to Georgia and Georgia's, I can't hear you. I'm just gonna. I
Right, and
picked up pretzels.
And that could be,
Yeah.
so if you have that written down, you would distinguish between mischief and just a miss here. Because it could be, we're assigning now, fault to someone being mischievous when I thought you said you had no pants on when we started this podcast.
Thought or hope.
And you said cans. I was hoping, yeah. I was, "Ooh, this is after dark.
Free discussion. I can do whatever I want.
We're going through
we're-
some other rabbit holes.
Yeah, but I think you said you
We
need your
don't have
cans. And so
video
that
yet.
was yeah. And I was like, you got no, if you don't want to wear pants, that's all right. But yeah, but that's that idea that I wasn't being mischievous. I wasn't even being cheeky about it, if I can say that.
Can, and you did. Congratulations, buddy.
No, it's.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but you make a great point there, because they did say cans, and because that's the radio thing, and out of context in that moment, it's like, why would he say cans? He must have said pants, right?
So then you were standing up, and I was like, all right, hold on. I mean, we didn't give a response yet.
But in that exact moment, Georgia thought you said headphones. I heard cans, and Joe heard pants.
Yeah, so.
Like we were all listening
Yeah.
at the exact same time, but only 2 of us made it to the same conclusion. It's
We're
just
not
like
very accurate.
I had
are
the
we?
funniest.
I was the
though.
only
I
one
was-
correct.
Okay,
That's all I
you
have to
know
say.
what,
Yeah.
Throughout all the voices in the head, I got that still.
Yeah. But but it's interesting. I think that's a very human experience. And, it's the other limitation, I think, with chatbots is it doesn't experience the world. Every experience is through the lens of other humans that have gone through it. So they can't actually have a de novo sensation or experience yet. I mean, maybe I think they're trying to make sensors. Like I remember the Star Trek where Data gets the fake skin. Was that like the one with the Borg, the movie? Was it 8 or 7 or 6? It was one it was up there. Yeah. So, but
you need to revisit
he gets
here.
all the Trekkies are like, I mean, but they'll right in. Yeah. But he gets the skin and he finally gets to feel the sensation of goose flesh, that prickling, where he really had no words before that. It was all just through other people describing that, and us, our authors describing that, or illustrators in image, but really the machine can't provide that. And so when you ask questions to provide that, it has to make guesses based on what it thinks you want and what it's been trained on. So
Exactly. What other people have represented as their experiences in text, video, audio form, which may or may not actually be representative of the phenomenon of experience itself. And that's always a big part of it, is that like even what it's trained on is separated from true experience. So it's a hop away. Yeah.
Right.
Think about all the things that you put on like social media, Instagram, Facebook. Is that really a true representation?
The truest.
Or is that like you finally got one picture that looked okay? You know what I mean? But so then that's what it's training on.
Yes.
And so that's not even really reality.
Yeah, no, that's the internet.
Yeah.
That's the internet. Yeah.
No, again, going into this whole thing, because all of this conversation is about fear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fear,
Yeah.
curiosity, concern. Oh, yeah.
It is, no. And going back to this idea of visual attachment disorder, the thing that, and I have to say this, because all of these things about manipulation, what is truth, all these things are very valid. I think the idea that is also, besides the sideline idea that eventually AI is just going to be like, we don't really need you anymore, is this idea of creating something via a chatbot that is never going to be replicated by somebody else. You're going to develop, in the long run, this feeling of, well, the chatbot gives me everything that I want. Who is going to match up to that in the real world, and what dysfunction is going to come from that?
Yeah.
And that's, if there is a great fear that I have, is that we talk about what happened during COVID and how we started to lose our ability to communicate with one another. And then you add in this element of people dealing with these bots that give you exactly what you want. Now you go out into the real world and you're dealing with people that aren't just going to replicate everything that you say with, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden it's going to look pretty poor to you, and none of it was real in the first place.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
that's,
just
I
one of
mean, is
those-
that was a quality of fiction though, right? I mean, when the moving pictures first came out and you could create fantastical kind of scenarios, that was a fear, right? That you would become so enamored by that world, or video games, that you would then try to act out or relive those experiences as the human correct experience. I mean, that's so
I do it constantly. Don't worry. Played a game once that had parkour in it, and I was like, I can do that.
yeah.
Jesus, no.
That's not
right.
a good idea.
You're out looking for zombies. Yeah, it is interesting. Is the human mind adaptable enough to actually parse through real interaction versus the fictional interaction? And is that a question of how real the chatbot becomes, or can that line, will it be breached? Yeah, it's a fascinating point, but it feels like we've had technologies which introduced this kind of realism and fantasticalism. I don't know if that's a word, but I like saying it.
Sure it is.
That's a
But once
made-up
upon a
word.
time, like I think the thing that Jenna Rousseau is highlighting is that in a world where you still live in a communal setting and you're connected to reality, if you decide that, you are going to live out Nosferatu, right? You are still in a community that will tell you like, hey, that's not exactly right. I think the scariest thing is that like we only learn and we only learn and grow and also check our understanding of our own realities when it's challenged. And I think if you are in a world where you are steadily separated from a community structure, a societal structure, where, day in, day out, you're at your computer, you're barely even going to the grocery store, right? That's actually a very real, feasible existence of it now. That's when it becomes a huge concern, because there's nothing that is going to challenge you in your thought. There's nothing that's going to push you in your growth. There's not even another being that is not even there to challenge you, but just has different motivations, right? Like maybe it's not motivated to be interested in growing plants like you are, right? These are all kinds of factors of, I think, sociability that are disconcerting. I think we're worried about losing altogether.
Yeah.
So are you
Especially as
saying that we
come
should
out of
just go ahead and challenge more random people to things? Like, oh, you're going to pick up that ketchup? Interesting choice.
Sure. If
Just
you
gonna start
would
talking
have
about
an
something, right? Yeah, right.
I
Sure,
think,
right? Don't be combative,
No,
but I do think
is that another thing you're going to offer?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
it's
gonna.
part of your
That's going to be
service.
part
Yes,
of
it's 100%
The
part of my
human
service.
condition. You're right. Yeah.
You sure you want to go with that one?
Do you
Have
really
you tried
think
the barbecue
ketchup goes
sauce
on
yet?
there?
You should try the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
easy answer. Barbecue all the time.
I was going to say that it reminds me of the Wall-E, where all
we're
the
bringing
people
up
we're
Wall-E
bringing
again.
up that second time this season. But yeah, that Wall-E. So we had the space arc episode, and then but on Wall-E you had all the people who were being controlled by Auto, the AI, who had their best interests, and they were all this in their screens, disconnected
Living
from
their
everyone
life.
else. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen Wall-E, the animated. Like, okay. You guys, it was like the look here. I'm like, am I?
You may. What is
Are you
your
sure you're
point?
human?
I have not, but
Oh, okay.
that's how you
Oh.
know I'm human.
You're in for a treat. You
Yeah,
should.
you
should
definitely should watch Wall-E. It's a very human
generous. So you can,
show.
Yeah. So,
I'll definitely.
but yeah, it was the scene in there where Earth had become unlivable, and so the idea was to put everyone on these kind of space arcs and send them out into space, and then they had robots that would clean the Earth, the Wall-E units, and then they would radio back. They would check out every once in a while and see if there was life could sustain on the planet. And in the interim, several generations had gone by, and the people went from very interactive community like to this fear that you're bringing up, that they were in like little mechanized
little
carts, and they had this screen, and every wish and desire was fulfilled by the AI that controlled the arc, the space arc.
They got really huge,
rotund.
Probably couldn't even walk anymore.
They couldn't walk.
They
Remember, 'cause
just
that was that scene. I
roll
don't want
around.
to spoil it now for anyone that hasn't seen it.
Yeah, anyone who hasn't seen it, Louise Joe.
I don't want to name names, but
He was eyeballing you the entire time he said that. He was like,
what?
I'm pointing at Lily.
I saw her face, and it looked like this. I have no clue what this guy's talking about. He's like hallucinating right now. But yeah, it's an example of that where you lose total connectivity, and then they got pulled back into the whole thing. We want to live. Like
They
it was that
all,
moment, movie moment.
The AI got shut off, and they were like, "Whoa!"
but what
where
about the
are
people that
we?"
wanted to stay with the AI? They
That
were
was like the
discouraged.
Matrix, right? That was
Like, I just want to sit here. Don't worry, guys. You guys go ahead. Have fun.
I'm happy. My ignorance is bliss. I don't know.
Cypher in the Matrix, right? He wanted to get plugged back in. He didn't want to eat the mush and have a shaved head and all that. He
Well,
wanted
like-
the cool outfits and
Like your point, it was better than reality. So I
That's
don't
right,
want to
yeah.
go back
Right,
to dealing with real people. That's
Now, a point I had, we talk about the AI and where we can get to, the horrific scenario that Generoso had pointed out, us becoming large mechanized slobs in front of a screen, us having AI control us. But I was going to say that AI too, like one of the interesting things is reaching beyond the grave. That now that we have so much of ourselves in a digital sphere, that one could reconstruct loved ones and their identity. And I thought that was just really interesting as I was thinking about this and putting things together. But yeah, that you get into that meta, and I know you guys, that's where you guys live, what it is it? How much
Right.
would you trust that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a couple of startups that actually are focused on that.
What?
And yeah, and so I want to say about a yearish ago, the Tech Review had a kind of inside view on, one of getting somebody who had passed away recreated in like an avatar form. And again, it does come down to this idea of you can feed memories, you can feed all the documents, but like the intangibles of what we are actually very meaningful. And the inconsistencies, right? I'm not going to say a sentence the same way every single time, even if I'm using the same words. I'm going to have inflections. I'm going to have body movements. I'm going to age, right? Like things that are very human, you start to lose in these recreations of your loved ones. And then on top of that, our memories of our loved ones are always a little bit aggrandized, a little glossed over too. So I think that probably, even if it's built to spec, you're always be a little suspicious of it.
I mean, and you always want that perfect version. Like you don't want all the crud that comes with the person. Like you want that memory. You go into the box to talk to your loved one. You don't want to hear about how they were an awful person and fooled everybody in the telephone game. That's not
That horrible moment that you just bring up.
aha, it was you. No. Yeah, I think it's I think it's really fascinating, that thing. And then that idea of the police too, because maybe you are trying to find answers to why, the some life thing in this past relative. And then it's just,
They brought that up in Ironheart too with Natalie,
oh yeah, you're right. With the friend.
where she realized that,
Yeah.
I know that it's not you because of you don't know exactly what happened in these situations. You don't know why you're feeling that way because you don't feel that way.
Yeah. Is that, and Ironheart was Disney Plus in the MCU universe. She was a tech genius from inner city Chicago. Yep. So great
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Less technical. I think of one movie. I'm sure everybody here is an Alan Rickman fan in some way, shape, like either from Die Hard or from something. And do you ever remember a movie he did called Truly, Madly, Deeply? He did this movie in the early 1990s where a woman loses her husband, who's played by Alan Rickman. And then one day he shows up as a ghost and she's elated. Up until that moment, she'd been miserable and wasn't even talking to other people and just constantly rehashing the memory of this person. Well, now Rickman's back. He's a ghost and he's there and it's him, but he's a ghost and he watches movies all day long. And she starts to go out and starts to experience life. And she goes back home and her husband is still there and he's a ghost and he wants to watch movies with her and that's all he wants to do. There's not really a bad about him, but there's not a moving forward either. The AI version of it. I don't know, like if
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paused, right? I mean,
Fair.
if you've died, you've lived all your life. So that's it. So you really can't go beyond.
Unless you're
That
Patrick
point.
Swayze.
there's only one switch. We're not hoping for extra switch.
And embodying
What?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yep.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I know. I was like, I think I missed the point. Oh,
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then-
ghost with the
oh yeah.
you know.
I know.
yeah, we're coming to the end, but I did. The other thing is the good capitalist that I am, that there is economics in all this. And as, the worst model to Generoso, not only do you lose connection with humanity, but now you become enslaved to pay a fee to maintain your artificial connection, because now you've lost the ability to make a real connection. That's even more fearful, that you can't even go out now and go to the bar and meet some friends. You're so now dependent that now you're working
Now there's
to
a subscription
Wait, are you talking
cost.
about bringing a
Right.
dead one to life again?
Well,
or
no.
this is just.
I think
I was
he's
like, are you
Yeah, we're-
saying that like
Well,
I think
you
he's-
could charge a fee for that also. Like, you want to talk
Well,
to grandma.
you
need
know-
I'm gonna kill grandma again. I can't afford it this month.
to- you're going to watch
Sorry.
this time. If
Well,
you
you
don't,
know there's going to be a price tag on
right?
that.
Yes.
A subscription.
Yeah.
We'll
right.
kill her again and again.
Johnny Thunder sang, you can't put your arms around a memory, but you can purchase one via AI.
Yeah, there it is.
It's a wonderful thing. And,
But if
you
you
still
want,
can't put your own stuff.
but if you want to keep it, you'll have to keep paying the
That's
subscription
right.
per house.
That's right. We'll erase all those memories.
So,
All right. I mean,
Joe,
that's the evil part of it, though. I mean, that's where we're going to be at, man. I fear that more, that people will become so caught up in it that then they'll also be working, and that whole weird economy will come out of it.
oh,
Yeah.
there's always some
You know.
sort of way to make money on it.
That's right. Yeah.
Sure.
I was going to say,
Cool.
Joe got your book at the cake.
Cake, which was awesome,
Yeah.
by the way. And thank
And
you for buying the
Thank
book.
you.
And
It's
separately,
so-
thank you for hanging with us at Cake.
It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. And we don't have video, but we can
we'll
put
pictures and stuff and
pictures.
links. Yeah.
But and this really stuck with me, this page with the cameras.
And you're showing the
Inversion.
camera, right?
I know. Yeah. You need
Well, I'm
to,
showing them because they know what page I'm talking about. And I just love this.
if they're really human, they know what page you're talking about. No.
Yeah, and we are, because we love that page and we bellyache over it. Well, really, the credit goes to Generoso. He drew it. Yeah.
With the words and the pictures. And I probably won't even do this justice, but I'm going to read this page.
Please.
Unless you have the page and you guys want to read the
we are extremely honored that you
Yeah.
from our comment. Thank you.
I used to have the desire to stop time, like past generations once did, to capture wonders. I strongly felt that synthetic experiences betrayed reality. And I just thought that really summed up a lot of what we talked about today. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of what we've been talking about is a big part of the world of inversion, actually, because both the scientist and the subject inhabit that space and that time where what we don't have community anymore. How we live is very much contained to a room, feeding into something in particular, and outside of that, in our leisure time, how we used to experience reality is completely gone. So we create these synthetic experiences for ourselves. Sometimes they are complete fantasy. Sometimes they are launched from points in reality. You know, all of the things that we're starting to see happen, right? When
Yeah.
people ask, make me this movie, tell me this story.
right.
Yeah.
So just get out there, talk to real people.
Or
Yeah.
just call
Right.
me.
Just
Oh,
call
yes.
me.
Or call Nick.
Call Nick. You hit him up when call Nick.
The Ask Jeeves
it,
of
yeah.
the 21st century.
Yeah. Just don't become Clippy. You guys remember Clippy?
I love Clippy. You leave
Clippy.
Clippy out of this.
I miss Clippy.
Hold your tongue, Joe.
Hey man, I am nice to all of the chatbots, because when the AI overlords come, I went to them and go, oh, that guy, he said thank you every once in a while. He didn't say
Every
anything
once in a
bad. It's like, they're human, they have flaws, right? But yeah, we're coming to the end. I think we probably could go on. We could double this episode. There's so many things. I have notes here, and I always say that if I don't get through everything, that's great. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and let you all talk a little bit about what you do, your books. We have a number of science friends who listen. This is a science-y podcast, and what
Wait,
you
we're a
guys
science
do.
podcast? I thought we were anti-science.
We're science for weirdos. That's what
man.
we were told once.
That matters.
We walked into a bar, 18th Street Distillery, and someone was like, "I know you guys do that podcast. It's science for weirdos." And we were like, "Oh, yeah,
That's our new tagline.
I guess that's yeah." I was like, "We use that." That's where that came from. If everyone wondered that, but yeah, we met at Cake, and you guys. we
Cake,
had
tell them what cake is.
The Chicago Alternative Comic Expo happens once a year in the summery time. I don't know. There's June-ish. Yep. It's it moves around the city to different venues. Just a great experience. If you haven't done it, go look for it. But I'm going to turn the mic over to Lily and Generous.
Before we get even into the comics, I do want to send love out to the Cake folk. We did a few cons this year, and I got to tell you, it was great. Organizing wise, it was fantastic. But in terms of the folks that came, like yourselves, no, but for real, like everybody came up, so many STEM people, which does play to a lot of what we do on top of the comics world. But it was one of the greatest audiences we've ever encountered at one of these events. So again, much respect and love out to the folks that organized cake.
Attendees.
And the attendees that were just
Yeah.
really made the experience great. So thank you for that. But yeah, as far as our books.
Our books, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're working on the 5th. The first 3 books are actually a triptych. So they are 3 separate stories set in 3 completely different times, but they each explore the relationship between a scientist and their subject. So Vessel, the first one, is much more from a subject perspective. Inversion, which is the second one, is actually the combination of a scientist and a subject. And then the last one is about a scientist who is becoming her own subject. I think for us, what we're always focused on is thinking about how individuals experience science and technology, whether they work in it or whether they are actively participating in its future in one way or another. And I think more recently, as I hinted at, what we've been really focused on is thinking almost like more about the foundations of science, almost even like going back to the Middle Ages and earlier, and thinking about what does it mean to like study phenomena, try to bring it together, understand causality. So that's a little bit of what exists in our 4th book, which is called Absolute Simultaneity. And yeah, I think it's something that we're going to be building even further upon in our upcoming book. I cover everything.
I think it's beautiful. I'm just the guy that draws the pictures.
That's not true. He always says that. We're a super collaborative team. Like the way I always like to describe it is that if we had to compare it to movie terms, I'm the screenwriter, he's the cinematographer, but we really together.
Nice.
Yeah,
You can tell. No, it's really good inversion here. We have that copy, and look forward to reading your other stuff. It's really awesome. And like I said, there's a lot of sciencey folks who listen, and so definitely go check it out. Pick up the books.
Thank you.
They're really awesome, and you get that meta. We chatted for a good long while we were there. I think, Georgia, you wandered off, and I was still there talking. Then you wandered back, and I was still there. So, and it was such a great conversation, and I'm glad you guys came on to the podcast. And,
Yes,
and had
thank
this
you so
conversation.
very much.
It's been,
Thank you for
Thank you for
inviting
inviting
us.
it's been
This was
fun. Yeah, we
wonderful.
gotta have you back, and we'll follow up on this as we move closer to the robot apocalypse. We can just sit back and
Just
listen
check
to
in
ourselves.
with each other.
Yeah. So cool. Anything else? Any last thoughts, Nick, Georgia?
What would your favorite AI movie be? Like AI in the film, not like.
I know Lily loves Wally. That's it.
exactly. Challenge myself with something completely unknown. Oh, this is a movie.
That's a great. I mean, it's funky because you can't see this at home, folks, but behind us are about 800 signed movie posters. So
definitely
right now
great.
we're like AI.
They're all looking back there. What's it? I'm looking at my walls too. I'm like, what do I have in here? Oh.
It's a really good question. Even going into this conversation, obviously, growing up, because I think Joe and I were around the same age.
Yeah, I think so. We discovered that.
Terminator as a kid was that first thing that was like, oh, and it played off of Battlestar Galactica, which is the first time you start to get this idea that, maybe the machines will replace us.
Yeah.
Westworld.
Westworld, yeah.
Yes. Now, Westworld, are you talking about the movie or the TV series?
Oh no, the original movie, Future World. Yeah, but I think for me, Lily is quite. You're more of the book person, though, in the family.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You can go book.
Yeah, we'll take book.
I'm not going
accept
to
that.
shut you down for that.
All right, well, Lily's thinking. Go ahead, Nick. What do you got?
Yeah.
'Cause You
I'm
going to
say Tron.
Tron.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I absolutely love those films. I haven't seen the last one, and I am going to reserve myself from that. But
Meaning you're not going to do it?
no,
You're not going to watch it?
no.
Oh.
Jared Leto, I'm not a fan. He kind of just drops the ball for me every time. But the original Tron,
Yeah.
peak, loved it.
I'd say
Yeah.
Ex Machina.
Ex
I
Machina.
love
Yeah,
Ex
that's really
Machina.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh wow.
I forgot how much I love that film.
Isn't it? It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac. Oh,
No.
Joe?
Well,
yeah.
you killed Lily. I just want you to know.
Yeah.
that. I was just going.
I'm just going through.
like hundreds
So,
of different things. in
I'm
her
gonna
body.
go.
Are we sure she's not an AI?
I'm gonna go with the.
Ali.
Yeah, got that right. She's gonna go with that. I'm done. I'm gonna go a little more sinister. You know, I think we have HAL 9000, Space Odyssey. That was probably one of
Oh,
my
yeah.
first
Oh,
introductions, and I think early horror. Like I talk about in the episodes how early I saw some of these movies, but Mother from Alien, and that was just there where you had that controlling it. You know, chatbot. Other thing. So I'm like, we're done the episode, but yeah, but chatbots don't really have an agenda right now. Or that we know of. They are
do they?
really they are there to they have no agenda when you prompt them and things like that. But in HAL 9000 Mother, they had Skynet, they have from Terminator, they had agendas that this was their agenda and this is their mission and they were going to be unstoppable, and logic then backfills in that. So I think from that point, though, they were some of the, and then Otto from Wall-E. That also that same.
I thought of another one, but
yeah. All right, let's Lily
Yeah,
has
okay.
something.
I think I got it. I think
Okay.
because for one of the reasons why I struggle is that for me, I think when I think of science fiction and I think of dystopian writings and cinema, for me, I'm always thinking about like concepts that are playing around more with perception, a little bit of time. So I'm not always in the artificial intelligence realm, though it's like
That's all right.
artificial intelligence adjacent. So, but I think like an AI a film that involves some AI as well as like this interpersonal relationship and like understanding how we communicate and interact as humans, I'd have to go with Solaris, probably.
Yeah.
I think
The
that's
original Turkish
Yeah, it's like-
Solaris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Based on the
yeah.
Lem book.
Yeah.
wow.
And a novel I thought of was Sea of Rust by Robert Cargill. So it's a really,
That's really good.
it's a great novel, and I think there's a sequel to it. But the novel starts out with the last human being killed by the machines, and so the whole book then is about the machines now.
It's the
and
point
some-
of view of a machine.
of the machines and this caste
and the
system.
machine
and
is
some
very
are,
human.
They are, yeah.
So-
They're very sentient. They have personalities, and then there are hierarchies of the machines and following these scavenger bots, and they're trying to live. They're trying to eke out a living. They've replaced the humans in some ways. So it's really, they do all this. and
Which
it's-
is just
so
more
really, it's
about the human
really
experience.
good. Right. But
But
really kind of
not-
like, machines. And you get that after humans are gone, what are the machines going to do? They're built on human philosophies. And, so at some point, will they just revert back? We talked about that. Will they just cycle back?
So
You
the
know.
Master Sentinel.
Oh, yeah. From
Right?
X-Men. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
I had
then-
to bring that one in.
And then
Mastermind. Right.
our-
Is that right?
Our son he's away at college, but he was here for Thanksgiving and he wanted to watch a movie. And the movie he really wanted to watch was Blade Runner.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And
Symbionts.
think of that.
The
That's a good
replicants.
one too.
Yeah. Blade Runner. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we could keep going. It
Yeah.
was like,
Are we still recording, actually?
we still are. Yeah, we are.
Actually,
you're there. Yeah, no.
We actually didn't start
Lovely,
recording.
lovely.
I didn't stop. Until there's a special ending. So yeah, people
Yeah.
know who listen.
We're getting to the end.
We'll get there. Okay.
I
Let's.
was waiting for the special ending, but I was like, "Are you going to add that after?" Is it
No,
the thing? I was like, "No, we could talk all night. I'm fine with that." I'm just like,
But
yeah. All right. We should probably wrap it there. Thank you. You got me, Joe.
You got Nick.
We've got Nick.
Georgia.
We've got Georgia.
And thank you so much again for being
This
with
is
us.
great. Hang on.
Pleasure.
And we went down some
Robotic holes.
Don't forget to
Did
call
we
me.
really?
We love you. Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Take care.